Okay, so it's been 5 days since I've been in Japan now, and my last video was slightly over dramatic. I'm not sure if it was over dramatic or not. So I think it was Sunday, all day Sunday. Basically, the news was 24 hours typhoon watch non-stop. There was footage of exactly where the typhoon was at any given moment for the whole day, and we basically sat there and watched it. And no matter what channel you put on, it was always like there was like a little corner piece where they would show where the typhoon was and how big it was and how strong the winds were, like all day. And as it slowly moved up Japan north, they were showing footage of all these different villages and towns and cities that it was hitting, and the damage it was causing, and the water and the flooding and the rain and the winds were just tearing up pieces of city and hurling them all over the place. There was some rather dramatic footage of a truck being picked up and hurled across a road and into a building, which was pretty much brought things home. So this whole day we were sat there just watching TV, watching this inevitable rolling wind of death come towards us. And then for some reason, about an hour before it hit Osaka, the typhoon just moved east like a bunch, like 100 miles, 50 miles east, and then carried up, moving slightly more northeasterly. And as a result, just completely missed Osaka entirely. We just had some high winds, basically. That was all. So a bit dramatic, but other than that, fairly safe. But it was kind of strange watching it on the news and just feeling this sort of inevitable thing rolling towards us, that there was nothing we could do, and the sort of excitement stroke fear was mounting as it got there and closer and closer and closer. But it was also kind of remarkable seeing how people reacted to it in Japan, because people were still going to work and people were still going out and doing stuff, even though there was just as there was footage of people in like hard hats, reporters in hard hats in the rain, and just battling against these insane winds and insane sort of water just hurling itself across the screen, and just terrifying pictures. And then there'd just be some old guy with a kind of knackered old umbrella just wandering through through the shot, making it look like it was just another rainy day in London. So it was super weird. But yeah, anyway, that was a storm in a metaphorical teacup for Osaka. I understand it was much worse for other people, so hope everybody is safe. So yeah, what else have I been up to? So this is like 5 days into Japan now, so I have had a couple of days to do a few things. Mostly we spent some time going into Osaka city central and sort of exploring there a little bit. Exploring there a little bit, and we went to a place called Bic Camera, which is this huge electronics department store in Osaka, and there's a few of them around sort of Osaka, I think. But this one is massive, just huge department store. There's it sells everything from bicycles to iPads and cameras and almost every electrical you could imagine. Huge multi-story department store. We went there mostly to get this SIM card so that I could get some data on my phone. And that's actually not that easy a thing to do in Japan. So it used to be, apparently not that long ago, almost impossible to get some kind of data tariff or any kind of like mobile phone SIM if you were a foreigner. And that was because they required you to sign up to lengthy contracts for any kind of connectivity. It's gotten better, and so now what we've got is these kind of traveler SIMs which allow you to get data but you don't get a telephone number, and they're like 30 days like prepaid, which is kind of good. It's the connections, I think I got like 3 gigabytes, maybe 6 gigabytes depending on, I think we got an offer for 6, and basically we got LTE connectivity with no telephone number associated with it. And it's a bit flaky, to be honest with you. It seems pretty flaky at the moment, but it's better than nothing. It gets Google Maps working, which is the best thing. Very useful when you're wandering around a foreign city. Yeah, it seems to be working out okay, but I'll probably report back on that a little bit more at a later date. So yeah, one thing I have definitely discovered though is it's not nearly as hard to get around or navigate or move interact with people in Japan as I thought it might be, as somebody who doesn't really speak Japanese at all. And that is partly because I'm with Eri and she speaks Japanese, obviously. But it's also partly because I think there's a lot of people here that are really make an effort, I think, with people and with English especially. So we went to yesterday. We went to a little coffee shop not far from where we're staying, and it was slightly disappointingly a very Americanized coffee shop. There are pictures of Audrey Hepburn and Marilyn Monroe on the wall, and American flags everywhere, and it was kind of a sort of American themed coffee shop, and the lady there clearly was keen to speak English as much as possible to practice, although to be fair I think she was a bit afraid to speak a lot to me, but she clearly wanted to. She was very friendly, and we had some nice coffee there, although not quite the authentic Japanese experience one might have hoped for. But this morning was actually a lot better, so we went to another coffee shop. We found somewhere on Google Maps. We wandered for about 15 minutes down the road, and we found this just in the middle of nowhere, like really was in the middle of nowhere. It's an amazing coffee shop. We had some really amazing food and some great coffee, and the gentleman that was working, I think as the chef there, at least he may well own the place, I'm not sure, but he was very friendly and spoke English and was very chatty, and they had an English menu. And the lady who served food, she very kindly brought me a knife and fork to eat, along with my chopsticks, and placed them on this little metal thing. It was super cool. Although I was quite proud because I didn't use them once, so I was chopsticks all the way. I was very proud of that. Yeah, but the food was fantastic, and afterwards the gentleman took us around the back and showed us this like old coffee machine, this old like, I don't know how old it was. It was super old. Do you remember how old that coffee machine was? That coffee roasting thing. I can't remember how old it was. We don't know, but it was super old anyway, and it was pretty impressive. It looked fantastic, and so they were still using this thing to grind and blend the coffee that they were serving in their restaurant. It was great. What else have we done? We went to Eri's place, Eri Works, that served this shaved ice, which is kind of like a kind of milk sorbet, I guess. It looks like snow, made from kind of watery milk, sweet watery milk stuff, but it's delicious, very tasty. And they serve it with fruit and a little bit of like ice cream on top, and there was some almonds on there, and it's great. It's good stuff. I also had some iced Earl Grey tea, which actually was fantastic, I have to say. So that was good fun. What else did we do? Oh, we went to America Village, that's right. So we went to this place called America Village in Osaka, which is this very, very, it looks like you've suddenly wandered into New York. Street art everywhere, graffiti everywhere, lots of like clothing stores, like loud gangster music playing everywhere, and just kind of really weird, crazy vibe. It's sort of very odd. It was very vibrant and kind of like Camden in a way, like a very heavy Camden vibe to it. And yeah, there was some amazing stores there. We found an old there's a wonderful arcade there with just full of pinball machines. We played a bunch of pinball machines, and I was terrible at the pinball machines, so that was good. But they were super fun. There was like loads of them. There was like a Twilight Zone one and a Metallica one. There was a Back to the Future one and a Addams Family one. It was really cool. Just full of these original like old pinball machines. It was great. So yeah, that's kind of what we've been up to recently. Can't think of anything else. Sure. Oh my gosh, I forgot the best thing. So on the way to the coffee shop this morning, we wandered past like a number of these little Buddhist temples. I assume they're Buddhist, apologies if that's not right, but yeah, they're fantastic. And we saw these, we went into one of them. There was like a little garden, and there was this amazing statue, one end of the garden. It was just phenomenal, and the gardens themselves were like super pretty. And there were these little pools full of koi carp. I've never seen so many fish in one place in my life before. It was just insane. They were just like huge koi carp. and they were just writhing all over each other, and Eri would like move her hands over the pool, and I think the fish were like, oh, it's feeding time, so they just started going into a bit of a frenzy. It was super great, and we did this little hand washing thing where there's these cups on sticks, and we basically move the cup, and you collect the water in the cup, and then you wash one hand and then wash the other hand, and then you wash the cup and the stick with the same water, just sort of let it fall over it, and then you place it back for the next person to use, and that was super cool. Yeah, and I think that's pretty much about it, really. We've just been, just traveling super easy. Getting around Osaka without English is a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. Traveling on the trains, there's a lot of English announcements and a lot of English signage around. There we go. And in general, it's actually not nearly as difficult. I'd imagine even if I wasn't with Eri, I could probably figure stuff out. With all the English language signs there are everywhere. So yeah, it's great. Anyway, having a fantastic time still, really loving it. Best thing ever, by the way, is whatever this is. This is Cold Stone Creamery chocolate chip mint ice cream is fucking fantastic. So yeah, I would, if you ever get a chance to have some of that, I would definitely do that. Lots of other delicious foods and tasty treats and stuff that we've been having recently, so I will definitely have to post more up about that later on. But yeah, for now, survived the typhoon and everything is all well. Speak to you next time.